win. Right here, ESPN, bottom of the hour, South Florida and Rutgers.
Let's play Take Your Pick. We do all the time, this time every week. Mark May and Lou Holtz, suddenly a bit younger.
They brought in a ringer.
Todd McShay in for Lou Holtz, who will return on Friday. Mark, take your pick. Is it South Florida or Rutgers tonight?
I'm picking South Florida. You got to pick South Florida. This is the hot team right now. Not only that, they're playing extremely well defensively. You look at this team last year. Yes, they gave up 202 yards rushing to Ray Rice and 360 yards over the last 2 games to Ray Rice. But this is a defense this year that's much better. They have everybody back and healthy. They've got George Selvey on the outside, sacking the quarterback's tackles for losses. You got to go with South Florida. Matt Grothy, come on, with that new haircut, the Grohawk, you got to go with South Florida.
All good reasons, but I'm still going with Rutgers. I think Piscataway, a night game, and also you look at what they've done so far. Turnovers. In the first 2 games that they've lost, 7 turnovers. The other 4 games they've won, only 3. They're going to protect the ball well tonight. Mike Teal will take a couple shots, but Ray Rice, you can't ignore the fact that 202 yards, 35 carries, 2 touchdowns. They're going to be more physical than South Florida tonight, and they're going to pull off the upset. I'm telling you right now, you're going to need to bring Coach Holtz back for a pep talk because you're going to feel awful after this.
All good numbers about this, and all good numbers about this game. But the bottom line, you look at the first 6 games of the season for Rutgers, 50 penalties.
Yes.
Last year they had 60 penalties in 13 games last year. So you're looking at a team right now that shoots himself in the foot in crucial situations.
I'm surprised by you. Offensive line, 3 guys on this offensive line for Rutgers are going to wind up playing in the NFL. That's going to be the difference. Offensive linemen, and Mark May didn't go with the team with the better offensive line.
But they're not playing in the NFL tonight, and that's what's key. That's why I'm going with South Florida. Ben Moffitt in the middle for South Florida making
tackles. They're a great team. Number 2.
Okay.
Okay, they took their picks. What was yours again? No. South Florida, Rutgers.
That game follows next here. It's a huge game on ESPN, South Florida Rutgers. If you want more coverage, though, of the apparent end of the Joe Torre era, head to ESPN2 for a special edition of Baseball Tonight. For Chris, I'm Josh. Thanks for watching.
In Rutgers country, in the heart of New Jersey, one lonely Bulls fan, part of a rapidly growing USF bandwagon. This is a program fast building a history, facing tonight a program with one of the oldest histories in college football, a statue commemorating the first game of the sport. And the Scarlet Knights brace for an invasion of Jim Leavitt's second-ranked USF Bulls. These guys are new to wearing the big target, carrying the pressure of a national title contender, and they've already been serenaded tonight by the Rutgers students. Are they overrated? Are they that good? The nation wants to know. We'll begin to find out tonight. Number 2, South Florida visits Rutgers in Jersey. You will not find 2 more intense coaches. There's Jim Leavitt running wind sprints. Greg Schiano, he's got that look in his eye. He was in Leavitt's position a year ago, flirting with perfection. These days, Rutgers has 2 losses, and this is must-win time on College Football Primetime, presented by Applebee's in the heart of the Scarlet Knights here in Jersey. And in rolls number 2, undefeated South Florida. The BCS standings came out this weekend right after mighty Ohio State sits South Florida unranked in the preseason, much like number 3 Boston College. But wait a second, this is very early in the Big East campaign. USF has only played 1 conference game, so a long way to go. 5 games after tonight. They're just getting into the teeth of their conference schedule, but this test at Rutgers perhaps looms as the largest test remaining for this team. Rutgers known as a very loud and hostile place to visitors. Welcome, Chris Fowler, Doug Flutie, Craig James. Should be a lot of fun tonight. This was the setting a year ago of pandemonium in Piscataway as Rutgers took down number 3 Louisville. Now in comes number 2 USF, an extraordinary story, and people around the country want to know, is this team really that good? They're a serious title contender if they can keep it going.
Well, I tell you what, if their blood pressure and their adrenaline is flowing like ours is, they better slow down out there right now, because this is a game where they really have to focus that bullseye that's on their chest. I don't think the players, fortunately, at South Florida really realize where they are. I don't think they understand that they're the number 2 team in the country, so that's good for them, but they got to settle down and execute football.
Well, by not understanding it and being protected from it, they've been able to focus on this game, and it's a very important game for them. Can they stay at number 2? Do they deserve to be there? They've beaten West Virginia. They've beaten Auburn. I feel they deserve to be there. They've got a very athletic defense. They fly around. I feel they deserve to be in a number 2 spot.
It's a good debate. We'll get into it tonight. You know, Matt Grothe is the face and the haircut of this USFL team. The sophomore quarterback wearing that mohawk under the helmet does a little bit of everything.
He really does. He's their playmaker. He's their go-to. He does it with his feet as well as his arm. And a lot of time he scrambles to pass and to make that big play down the field, as well as have the ability to tuck it under and go on his own.
Well, you know, he doesn't do it on his own, and neither does the offense. They get the ball back a whole lot because their defense swarms. Swarming bulls in the pasture means getting the football back. And George Selby over on defense is a guy who plays beyond the line of scrimmage. 21.5 plays behind the line of scrimmage. That's unbelievable. This is a defense that averages 3.5 sacks a game. So, I mean, they're going to take the ball away, and that's going to get the ball back to Grothe and company. I'm telling you, watch this defense, and I'm very impressed with the way they play with speed on defense.
That sack total for Selby, 11.5. That's more than 67 teams in college football have so far this season. But if you can't run around him, you can run right at him, and that's what Ray Rice and Rutgers wants to do. Rice had a monster game against these guys a year ago, 202 yards.
Right at him or right over him. Ray Rice is a guy that has power throughout his body. He gets better as the game goes on, and his confidence that he and his offensive line can go between the tackles in this football game and win is what we're going to see. That's the battle of the game, the will of two teams. Defense against Ray Rice's legs.
Well, the South Florida defense is going to try to make him go east and west. Obviously, Rutgers wants to go downhill. Ray Rice is a force. But if they bring those safeties down and try to take away that running game, Mike Teal can still throw the ball. He's doing a much better job this year of putting the ball up and going down the field with weapons. So I like the well-balanced attack of Rutgers.
Exactly. Not a one-dimensional attack. Rice has had kind of a quiet year. Expects to bust out tonight. He was jawing with some of the Bulls players in the warm-up down on the field. Down on the field is Aaron Andrews, the Tampa native, who fully understands how big this USF story is getting.
Well, Chris, the USF coaches have a message for all those critics and naysayers. Keep the talk coming. And you know what that talk is? That these Bulls aren't worthy of that number 2 ranking in the BCS. Well, these players are listening. And with the audience tonight, they're looking forward to proving a couple of things. One, they're deserving of that ranking. And number 2, they've joked all week long that, hey, this audience is probably going to tune in and check out that team from South Florida down in Miami. Well, they want to prove this team from South Florida is from Tampa. And speaking of Tampa, quite a party down on USF's campus right now over at the Sundome. They've opened it up and allowed everybody within the community who wants to come in, watch the game, cheer for the Bulls, and put on a good show. We're going to be checking in with them all night long. Chris?
And the bandwagon is enormous and it's growing fast, but there's nothing but red in this house in New Jersey. The Bulls and the Scarlet Knights, a crucial game in the Big East and the national landscape coming up. Let's go back to Reese in the studio first. Reese.
All right, Chris, this will be one running of the Bulls where no one's diving for fences. I imagine the Scarlet Knights will stand right in there alongside Robert Smith, who's sitting in for Lou Holtz. Lou will be back with us on Friday. My partner, Mark May. Glad to have you along. Chris and the guys, fellas, were talking about the BCS standings, whether it was a worthy debate about where South Florida should be at number 2, maybe even higher. These are the initial BCS standings. Couple of notes, maybe not the greatest news for Ohio State. Only twice since the advent of the BCS in 1998 has the initial number 1 actually won the title. South Florida, Kentucky in the standings for the first time. Boston College and Arizona State had their highest rankings ever. And by the way, on the subject of Boston College, Jeff Jagodzinski is going to join us at halftime here with BC having the week off. Guys, here's what I want to do. I want to take a couple of blind resumes and you tell me, based on the numbers, who you think ought to be number 1. Team A has 2 wins against the top 20. Team B has none. Turnovers forced. Team A has the edge there. Schedule strength, also huge advantage for the first team. So based on those numbers, who should be number 1, Robert?
Ohio State.
And Mark?
Obviously, it's Team A.
It's Team A, and as we show you which team is which, South Florida Bulls with the edge on paper against Ohio State.
Now, when it says wins versus the top 20, wasn't Purdue in the top 20 when Ohio State played them?
They were not.
They were in the top 25.
Top 25,
okay.
But not in the top 20.
Okay, so that's
but both of the wins for South Florida, it's a fair point, but both of the wins for South Florida are against teams who are still currently ranked. That is not the case for Ohio State right now.
Yeah, but when we look at that, we look at the Auburn game. People say they won against Auburn, they won against West Virginia. They were +5 in the turnover ratio against Auburn, and it still took them to overtime to win that ball game. West Virginia had 200 yards more offense in that game, -2 in the turnover ratio in that game. So you can't just say, well, they beat Auburn, they beat West Virginia, they deserve the number 1 ranking. And I'm going to ask you guys, would you have voted them number one, or would you have voted them ahead of Ohio State if that number one spot hadn't been vacated?
Yes.
Okay.
And here's the bottom line. You just gave all the correct answers. It does not matter what the stats and what the numbers are. They won at Auburn. They beat West Virginia. It doesn't matter if you go into a game. Look at UCLA and Notre Dame. 7 turnovers. UCLA was ranked. Notre Dame wasn't. Notre Dame wins the football game. Bottom line is the best way to test a true opponent against another opponent in any championship form is head-to-head. They beat Auburn at Auburn. They beat West Virginia at home. If you look at their body of work and their resume, they've been outstanding this year in finishing games. If you look at their competition compared to Ohio State's competition, it's not even close. They have the 31st ranked schedule against opponents versus Ohio State's 73rd rank. So obviously they played a tougher schedule.
Let me ask you this.
You didn't even answer that question.
Let me ask you this.
When the graphic was up there, you wouldn't answer the question.
Let me
it was
ask you
A
this.
or B. You said Ohio State.
Let me ask you this. If USC doesn't lose to Stanford, Stanford doesn't convert on that 4th and 20. They don't convert on 4th and 9. Score there. You're going to vote USF ahead of them because who is USC's?
USC
come on now.
USC lost.
If USC
it's the body of work.
I said if
and I've been on USC.
I said if USC didn't lose, okay, then who was their big win against? Nebraska?
Yeah, at that time.
So USF had better wins than USC. So you're telling me
here's one quick question that I wanted to answer from both of you. Real quick question. If South Florida wasn't South Florida and you put the Nebraska logo on there, or you put the Ohio State or the Texas, they would be number one, and there wouldn't be a question.
I think you're right. I mean, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But on the subject of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, they are reeling. Children of the Corn in complete disarray. The latest debacle of 45-14 loss to Oklahoma State that resulted in the unceremonious sacking of athletic director Steve Peterson and the return of the patron saint of modern Nebraska football, Tom Osborne. He is the athletic director. He will decide the future of Bill Callahan. That is, if you assume this is not already a foregone conclusion with the way things are going in Nebraska. There were some who felt in the Nebraska hierarchy that Peterson had tied himself entirely too closely to Callahan and thus could not be objective about the future. So what's next for Nebraska?
Well, I think you have to make a move like this at this time of the year. You have to show the recruits that you're doing something. People that are thinking about going to Nebraska, even though there's going to be some uncertainty, Callahan's probably not going to be back, you know that this program is headed in a different direction because they've made that move. I mean, a very quick move, obviously, after a very significant loss, and they made that change. They know that they're moving in a different direction now.
It's already gone. It's a foregone conclusion. The bottom line is Bill Callahan called Mayflower movers because you're not going to be there after this season. It doesn't matter if you finish out and run the table, you don't make the Big 12 championship game. By putting Tom Osborne in this position at this point in time, it is done. He is not going to be back. The culture is going to be changed back to the old ways in Nebraska when they were successful. Look for them to bring in a Bo Pelini. He had great success there. The black shirt defense, they're not even wearing the black shirts anymore in Nebraska. They want that tough defense back. They're going to bring back a Bo Pelini type or a Turner Gill type at Buffalo, and they're 3-4 right now.
You've won 3 games at Buffalo. That ought to help your resume no matter what. You know, I think there's a little bit of irony in the fact that Nebraska plays Texas A&M, who also has an embattled coach in Dennis Franchione. We'll talk much more about that over the course of the weekend. You know what, Mark, you hit on something about where would you evaluate South Florida if they wore a different headgear. Well, I can tell you where one guy would. The Harris poll voter, Eddie Crowder, the former Colorado coach, was quoted this week saying he hadn't seen one clip of video of South Florida, and if it came down to a vote between South Florida and LSU, he would likely give the nod to the Tigers because they have been better stabilized for the last 100 years. Look, I hope Eddie's watching, because if you're going to make this kind of vote, I think you ought to at least have some informed perspective. You guys have informed perspective on this game right now that's coming up between South Florida and Rutgers tonight.
And for Eddie, I have to tell you, South Florida is not in South Florida University. It's in Tampa, like middle of the state, just to let you know. But the South Florida defense has been outstanding this season. Obviously, George Selvey at the defensive end position, the 11.5 sacks. They make big plays, not only up front, Ben Moffitt, the linebacker, but their 2 corners are outstanding, probably the best in the state of Florida and the best in the conference. But what's impressive to me about this team, it doesn't matter who they play, they're physical, they're dominant, they know how to stop people, and they find ways to win on defense.
Yeah, they have found ways to win on defense, but when you look at that offense, is it going to come up short? When you look at this Rutgers offense this season, everybody knew about Ray Rice. Obviously, Brian Leonard's gone, but you look at the development of Mike Teal and that passing game, not making the dumb mistakes, the mistakes that cost you ball games, Tiquan Underwood, Kenny Britt, those receivers. The problem with a South Florida team that tries to win by by defense, but has had inconsistent offensive play. If they fall down early, they could be in trouble.
So, if South Florida wins this game, will you get a grow hawk? Little haircut grow hawk?
I'll get, one of those balding cap ones, not a real one, though. I'm past those. It might not grow back.
South Florida is one of 6 remaining undefeated teams in the country. Another one sitting back and watching this weekend, Boston College. And joining us at halftime, BC's new head coach, Jeff Jagodzinski. That's a pretty good start for Jags, undefeated thus far. We'll talk to him about his club. They're playing next Thursday night. But for the 3rd time this season, the most important game in the history of South Florida football. It comes on the road against Rutgers.
Two different seasons, 2 different books, 2 different reads, yet the same story. The book on the Scarlet Knights was written and labored over piece by piece for more than a century. Then, last season, the pride of Piscataway finally became a bestseller.
This football team chopped for 60 minutes. We said it was going to take 60 minutes. By golly, you guys brought 60 minutes.
The novel that is South Florida is a quick read about a decade-long meteoric rise to prominence. This season, the Bulls have put their own spin on speed reading.
Wilkie, how did he get away? Now he has man wide open. It is caught. Craig Mitchell, touchdown. The biggest win in the history of this 11-year-old Bulls football program.
2 stories, one located in the north of the Sunshine State, yet named South Florida. The other situated in the Garden State, but embraced by the Tri-State. Sit back and relax. It's time to read a good book. Number 2 USF versus Rutgers now. And here come the Scarlet Knights. For decades a doormat, they really arrived last season. Expectations very high this season at 4-2. They consider this must win. They're the spoiler, the favorite, the number 2 team in the BCS, the USF Bulls, and that is a display of team speed as Jim Levitt, who was there from the beginning, the humble beginnings of this program in Tampa when it was situated in 3 trailers, long before it was 1A, before it was part of a BCS conference. Greg Schiano, the defensive-minded coach of Rutgers. He's also the defensive coordinator, looking for his defense to step up tonight, stop the bleeding after a couple of home losses this season to Maryland and Cincinnati. And Jim Levitt doing his best to downplay all the hype and the expectations and the pressure. They don't even refer to the BCS ranking. They just call it the situation.
Have you ever seen a head football coach before the game run from sideline to sideline sprints, trying to get rid of emotions and energy?
Not many.
And Levitt was. He was running gassers before the game moments ago.
The intensity of both coaches during pregame was amazing. I mean, we wanted to suit up and go play.
They were not interested in conversation, were they? They wanted to work off that nervous energy.
That's it. You see him. There he goes. I mean, he was all over the field.
What's his 40 time?
Today, he was down in the 4.8 range. Fast as he's ever been.
He's got a lot of guys that are a lot faster than that, fortunately, especially in that defense. And it's going to be that USF speedy defense trying to slow down Ray Rice. Rutgers will get the football to begin. They won the toss and elected to receive. Full house here tonight. Possibility of a record crowd. It was a brand new phenomenon a year ago, a big primetime game. Now these folks say we're getting used to it. Justin Tichy to kick off, and he'll boot it out of the end zone. So Rutgers will start on their 20-yard line. Quarterback is Mike Teal. Craig said it, vastly improved passer in this his junior year. Only had 100 yards throwing against the Bulls in last year's Rutgers victory on the road. Now 300-yard games are the norm.
Well, I think it's a pretty simple, basic game plan here. Can Ray Rice run between the tackles? And if that play action opens up, Doug, can they hit him down the field?
Yeah, Teal's averaging 300 yards passing. He's throwing the ball much better this year. If they suck up in there to stop the run, the passing game will be there.
You've got dangerous receivers, Underwood and Brett, on the same side of the formation, bottom of the screen. And, of course, Ray Rice is the tailback. Now, Underwood in motion. And it's Rice. Has room. Ray Rice. Well, about 15 before Trey Williams dragged him down. There's a flag on the play. Did they grab the face mask of Rice?
There's a penalty by each team on the play. Holding. Number 7, offense. Personal foul, face mask. Number 21, defense. These fouls offset. Replay first down.
So the hold on the receiver Underwood and the face mask wipes out a 15-yard gain.
And I'm not sure that South Florida's defense nor Greg Schiano expected to get Ray Rice around the corner in this football game. South Florida's defense is built around speed, and they want Ray Rice. They're going to try to push him east and west.
Very few backs, if any, have success running east and west on this speedy defense. Doug said 14 straight games, no 100-yard rusher since Rice got him big last year in Tampa. And redo 1st and 10, and Rice has room again, barreling straight ahead. That's more of a Ray Rice run. And he gets 9 yards, and Pat Manning, the equipment manager for Rutgers, introduces you to the offense.
In my 31 years at Rutgers University football as the equipment manager, I've never come across a more explosive bunch of offensive players. Our offensive linemen, Jeremy Zuda, Mike Fladell, and Pedro Sosa. Our wide receivers, Kenny Britt and Tiquan Underwood, and of course, everybody's favorite, number 27, Ray Rice.
We thank Pat and Monster.com for the lineup. 2nd and 2. No throw it. Teal over the middle, fires high and caught by Kenny Britt near midfield. Nate Allen defending a 21-yard gain, and Pat St. Louis, the ex-Bulls player, and now the GA introduces you to this defense.
And for the fastest defense in the nation, leading the way is George Selvey, the sack master, and at linebacker we have Bruce Montpremier, Tyrone McKenzie, and the team captain Ben Moffitt. And at defensive back we have Nate Allen, Golden Child, Carlton Williams, and also platinum status at the cornerbacks, Trey Williams and Mike Jenkins.
You might be a little biased, but fastest defense in the nation? We'll talk about that. 1st down throw for Teal. It's a screen. Incomplete. Rice had fallen down and had to be careful there because defensive players were all around him. Bruce Montpremier in the neighborhood and Ben Moffitt, the active middle linebacker.
He's their leader on defense in the middle. He makes plays. He lines his defense up. He's had interceptions.
What do you think, fastest in the nation, though?
That jury's out on that. They are fast, and they are an upfield.
Well, let me tell you what the jury was for me in evaluating the speed of this was against West Virginia. White and Slayton and Bunch out there. They tell you right now South Florida's got a very fast defense.
Held Slayton to 54 yards rushing, knocked Pat White out of the game. It's Rice on 2nd and 10. Runs through the arm tackle of Selvey, but a 2-yard gain.
I think Rutgers has to be very encouraged with what they did on their first 2 plays. Even though they had a holding penalty, they ran an off-tackle power play that one of them bounced outside for a big gainer and one went up inside for a big gainer. So they're establishing what they want to do.
And obviously for South Florida, it's all about Ray Rice and stopping him. And they've done it the last 15 games. They have not allowed one to crack the 100-yard mark since Ray Rice did it.
And then Kevin Smith of UCF came in as the nation's leading rusher a week ago. Got just 55 yards on the Bulls. 3rd and 8. Rutgers has been better in these situations this year. Teal fires. Incomplete. He was looking for Kenny Britt, and it was very well covered by the future NFL corner Mike Jenkins. Jared Blue on the pressure, and Rutgers will have to punt.
Both these South Florida corners, Mike Jenkins and Trey Williams, are exceptional corners. They trust these two to be one-on-one all day so they can commit some people to the run. They do an excellent job, and Rutgers has good receivers now, Craig.
By far the best tandem in the conference, I think. And Jeremy Ita, who does all of the kicking duties, kicking off, field goals, and punting, will try to pin the Bulls deep. It's a fake. He's throwing downfield, complete. Caught for a 1st down inside the 15 by James Townsend. How do you do, Coach Schiano? There's a punter with a good arm.
Well, I guess when you're at home and you have confidence in your running game and where you are on the field right here, this is all planned. And this is a case where the cover man just never looks around.
Well, he's expecting the guy to go down there and cover a punt, so he's going to get in position to block. Ito throws the ball. Usually you don't throw the ball in this situation unless the guy is completely uncovered. Great throw by Ito.
That's a lot of moxie in a big game at midfield, and now Rutgers set up at about the 14-yard line. Rice on the toss. It's tough to get outside. Moffitt, the senior, the leader of this defense, out there to get a hand on the ankle.
I guess trying to get in the head of Schiano and making that call. He's playing the number 2 team in the country. He's lost a couple of games. He's sending a message to his team, fellas. We're here tonight. We're the underdogs.
And we're here to win. We're here to make play. We're going to have to make some plays that maybe we don't usually make to make sure we win this game.
You got a punter who throws like that, you've got to fear it now. Teal in the shotgun for the first time. It's Rice. Has the corner. Ray Rice headed for the pylon and pulled out of the 2. Rice, big, thick guy, but he shows the acceleration. Trey Williams pushes him out, 11-yard gain.
The acceleration you're talking about is something that most people just don't know much about with Ray Rice. Most people think that he's just tackle to tackle, but look at the leverage on the outside and the freedom to get there. Trey Williams, 21, can run.
You know, the blocks on the edge weren't really good crack or seal blocks. They just out-leveraged the defense right away, and Ray Rice ran around the corner.
First and goal. Power formation. Rice. Hit in the backfield, dropped for a loss. Once again, Ben Moffitt, number 59. Interesting story. Moffitt married in high school, has a couple of kids already, and commutes about 45 minutes from his home to the campus of USF. As a defender down on the field. And the medical staff for the Bulls will run out to attend to number 95, George Selvey. We talked about him, nation's leading sacker.
That would be a tremendous loss.
Selvey, just a sophomore. He's a guy that in 17 career games, or 19 career games, has 17 sacks.
Pointing to his back there, and you know, those sacks means that he has a high motor. But we asked the coaching staff, is this just a freak of nature? And Chris, you asked him, you said, hey, is this guy just, you know, Wally Burnham, the defensive coordinator, he's an old Florida State guy, been around a lot of great players back there. You asked him about him.
Yeah, and he said, no, he's not really a bullware type physical freak. He credits Selvey's ability to study tape and get to know the opposing tackles, and really the fact that their scheme will move him around in different positions.
Yeah, they'll stunt with him, scheme with him, move him around, get him in mismatches, and that's how he's getting his sacks. It's not just that pure speed around the edge.
So Rice dropped for a 1-yard loss on first and goal. They're set up at the 3, the 10th play of this opening drive. They've been one of the more efficient teams in the country in the red zone. Second in scoring percentage. Touchdown percentage not quite as good. Underwood in motion. Rice again. Hammering straight ahead and nothing there. On second effort, Rice is able to come up with a short gain before Premier stopped him. So third and goal.
You know, the reason they're good in the red zone is because they can run the ball down here. And Ray Rice is built low to the ground, thick legs. You saw his quads yesterday, Craig.
Made a switch at quarterback, guys. Jabu Lovelace, the backup quarterback, a sophomore, very talented guy from Teaneck. He's a guy that can be an effective runner in the red zone.
Interesting that you would bring Teal out and Ray Rice out of the game on the same play here, third and goal.
And now Rutgers, it took some time to get the proper personnel in the game, and so a timeout is called. We're set up. Crucial play in the early going when you come back. High above Piscataway, New Jersey, opening drive for the Scarlet Knights, who marched at 78 yards with the help of a 36-yard fake punt completion. Now it's third and goal, and there is Jabu Lovelace, the backup quarterback, the red zone running weapon. Rice not in the backfield. Lovelace is going to throw. Pressure. And sacked at the 8-yard line. So Tyrone McKenzie, the linebacker, not fooled. The wrinkle doesn't work. And from first and goal at the 2, Rutgers will now have to try a field goal.
And I'm sure what they were trying to do is to get the added block or get the mismatch on the numbers on the corner. But I imagine, Doug, the one thing the coach would tell him to do is
throw that ball away and save the yards. It was actually it was like the Tebow play where it was a fake run. He wanted to pull up and hit the tight end in the back in the end zone, but he got jammed, and then off the scramble took the sack.
So Ito, again, who completed that fake punt pass, now on for the more familiar duty, the 26-yard field goal. 8 for 8 inside 40 yards this season. still perfect. So Rutgers chews up almost 5 minutes on the clock. Is it 72 yards? Levitt's team fooled by the fake punt, but not by the wrinkle at the goal line. Welcome you to a very significant game, not just in the Big East, but also in the national championship chase. The #2 team in the new BCS standings down 3-0.
Would you call it an evaluation game? People around the country, South Florida, who are they? I think everybody got a little bit of feel for Rutgers last year.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone wants to see who this team is. They're a #2 in the country. We've never heard of them. We've never seen them. It's a national audience. Here's their showcase night, and they're going to be everybody.
Now, Jim Levitt's pretty quick to say this is not our first good team. Back in 2002, we were 9-2. The losses were at Arkansas, at Oklahoma, 9-4 last year. And they've had some success against ranked teams in their brief history, but they have never really worn the target. They've never really been the hunted. This is the new experience for them.
I'll give you an answer as to how you start evaluating. When your defense has to go right back on the field and answer the call from a big play on a fake punt, and they keep them out of the end zone, that's a championship-style defense.
It appeared that Rutgers was going to take that and shove it right on down into the end zone. And USF, closed the gate. 3-point lead. That's a win for them once they got in that situation.
Now the Bulls' normal kickoff return man, Jerome Murphy, a Jersey guy, sitting out the first half. He missed a team meeting today, so he's not back there. And ball rolls out of bounds. Torres Johnson doesn't field it. It's been a problem. Kickoffs have not been a strength for Ito. Again, he does heavy duty. So we'll see what the Bulls want to do.
Kickoff out of bounds on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, free kick.
I think Ito move it back to the 25-yard line.
You went down the field primarily with the running of Ray Rice. You did get the trick play off the fake punt. But I question taking your quarterback out and going with a gadget-type play down on the goal line when you have Ray Rice in the backfield. Even if you're not going to run the ball there, the threat of Ray in the backfield could open a play-action pass or something else. And, I get the impression Shiano figured, you know what, I went for it on the fake punt, the gadget play on the goal line.
A guy that would probably agree with that would be Ray Rice.
Yeah, they had Jack Corcoran, the fullback, lined up next to Lovelace, not number 27. Selby appears to be okay. We'll keep a close eye on the nation's sack leader. And now Ito, who hasn't managed to produce a touchback the entire year, will have to kick it from the 25-yard line.
Well, you reload and you ask that cover team to sell out and go 100% again. That's where these big plays occur. You break down, you don't get off a block, and get back in your lane.
Jamar Taylor, the freshman running back. He's back with Torres Johnson on the kickoff return. Apparently, Ito wasn't happy with the football. Anyone out there?
Kickers are amazing. I'll tell you what. They don't go to all the meetings. They're not. They got their 10 minutes in practice, and they're finicky about the color of a tee or the height of a tee.
He's a hero around. He's the guy that beat Louisville last year with that field goal. Do whatever he wants.
He's going to get the ball he wants.
Yeah, that's the kind of move that'll get you taped.
This is the helium ball. That's what it is.
Well, he needs all the help he can get to avoid a big kickoff return and get this thing near the end zone. And this is Torres Johnson at the 12-yard line. Johnson gets outside, gets across the 35. So the Bulls will have good field position. Their first possession, trying to answer the points. And there is the sophomore quarterback, Matt Grothe. Lakeland, Florida, just an old hunting and fishing guy.
Yeah, he's got a little hunting trip coming up. Man after my own heart.
He does. He's going to go bow hunting for deer tomorrow.
Well, getting all geared up after this game here, he's excited. He's looking forward to the trip,
but he's going to fly back to Tampa and then fly up to Ohio.
Yeah, with Eric Setzer, there he's the long snapper. He's going to go up to Richmond, Ohio, near Columbus, but he's hunting Scarlet Knights tonight. And it's Ben Williams, the junior, to the right of Grothe in the Bulls' first play. Three on the play clock. And he has to spend a timeout. Had to spend a timeout to avoid a flag on their first play. It got loud.
All that is the checks and the looking to the sideline and getting the audibles from the sideline and relaying messages. And I think I've made my point of view pretty clear on that.
Well, and obviously, too, we watched Greg Schiano yesterday coach up his defense, and he gave a ton of different calls and stem fronts out there. So maybe there was a different look that Rutgers brought to them.
These guys met a year ago down in Raymond James Stadium. It was a thriller. It came down to the final play. Grothe, at that point, was a freshman. He made some mistakes in that game. But Ray Rice was the story, just pounding straight ahead.
And you know what? And that took the heart out of that South Florida defense. You know, Ray Rice is a guy who left a message and a mark on this defense 2 times in a row now. So South Florida is not a flashy-dashy offense, but Grothe finds a way.
Saw Jason McCourty break up that 2-point conversion that would have tied it. This is Ben Williams, a nice gain on first down. Pat St. Louis is back with the Monster.com USF offensive lineup.
And now for the Bulls starting offensive lineup, we have Walter Walker, Ryan Smith, and at receiver we have Torres Johnson, Amari Jackson, and Marcus Edwards. At tight end there's Cedric Hill, running back Ben Barbecue Williams, and at quarterback Matt Joe Montana Grothe.
Williams on 2nd and 2. Can't quite get the corner, but does get a first down before Maso Munoz, the middle linebacker, drags him down.
Munoz with the tackle.
Munoz, one of those first-year starters at linebacker. Schiano really misses Quintero Frierson, Devron Thompson. He had a couple of veteran linebackers who were the heart and soul of the defense. It's been tough to replace those guys. Some growing pains this year.
Well, and really trying to make sure that they keep an eye on Matt Grothe and know where he is at all times to keep leverage and make him funnel to the inside.
On first down, empty backfield. Ben Williams, the tailback, in motion to the near side now. Grothe wants to throw. It's caught short. Gained by Marcus Edwards. And once again, Pat Manning, equipment manager, to introduce us to the Scarlet Knights defense.
To the defense of Rutgers football, the heart and soul of our defense, Eric Foster. Our linebacker, Brandon Rankart. Our defensive backs are twins Jason and Devin McCourty, and of course Courtney Green.
All players who love the equipment manager. Almost 4 decades of service to Rutgers football. Grothe on 2nd and 6. Fires, near flat, caught. First down yardage for Courtney Denson, only his 4th catch of the year. Hard to key in on any one receiver. They spread the ball around a lot.
But you know what you have to be careful of if you're Rutgers defense tonight? There's been so much stress and emphasis placed on knowing where Grothe is on the field that you become passive a little bit.
Well, when you hesitate and start thinking about what you're supposed to do and responsibilities, it slows you down. These last 2 plays, they blitzed them but dropped people out into a zone.
We expect lots of design runs for Grothe tonight. That's been the pattern. He's a guy that's rushed for 346 yards. Carried it 81 times this year. Hands it off to Jamar Taylor, and the true freshman is hit for no gain. They'll rotate backs as well. We've seen Ben Williams. We'll see Mike Ford, the talented freshman, and Jamar Taylor right there. Whoever's got the hot hand will get the bulk of the carries.
Well, their offense is designed around a lot of different players. And, you know, we'll get into their offensive coordinator and what he talks about, how they do it. But it's a system that is designed for a bunch of guys. Mike Ford is a running back, but the inside guys tell us, hey, watch out for this guy. He's the best player they have in the backfield.
5 receivers for Grothe on 2nd and 10. Over the middle. Caught. Again, a short gain, and that's Marcus Edwards. Only 4 catches on the year coming in, so they're using some lesser used weapons in the early going. 8-yard gain, sets up 3rd and short.
Rutgers is mixing up their looks defensively. They've dropped off in some blitz zones, and that time they ran a standard zone. Here's your comparison with total yards so far. It's yards per game, which is amazing with South Florida offense.
Williams is the back on 3rd and 2, and he gets it. Hit immediately. Brandon Rankert, the linebacker, stops him for no gain. 4th down.
This is a setup system right now. They're trying to get Matt Grothe the football. Eventually, they're going to fake that, and Grothe's going to run. We don't see them not using Grothe that often.
No, he's their leading rusher as well as the guy they rely on, obviously, in the passing game when he moves around. But a lot of these runs are designed quarterback runs and a lot of the play action stuff that he's reading.
And now it's Delbert Alvarado for 47 yards. Here's the guy that missed 4 field goals in the big win against Auburn, but kicked them into overtime with a clutch kick. He's been pretty solid since that Auburn game. And he's very solid there. So each team, one possession, each drive producing a field goal, and the Bulls frenzied out in the Sun Dome enjoys that. 3-3 in Piscataway.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, eating good in the neighborhood, and in part by AT&T, your world delivered.
Rutgers is the State University of New Jersey. It sits in Piscataway, not too far from Newark. It's about an hour drive to Manhattan. 8th oldest university in the nation, more than 50,000 in enrollment. The great Paul Robeson, James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano, big supporter. He's here somewhere tonight, but he keeps it a secret, and we're not going to press him on the issue. And, of course, NBA Commissioner David Stern.
Wait a minute. But you didn't even put the most recognizable guy up there. It's Mr. Magoo.
He's a Rutgers grad.
He is a Rutgers grad.
Mr. Magoo.
He's more recognizable than Gandolfini.
For our generation growing up.
I'm more of a Sopranos guy than a Mr. Magoo guy, to be honest with you. Tim Brown thought about it. They're encouraged to leave it in the end zone, and Rutgers will start at the 20-yard line.
There he is.
And somewhere in the text of the cartoon, it came out that he went to Rutgers.
Hey, that's some deep research there, but, you know, you do what you got to do.
I wonder if he could see back then. Did he need his glasses and step off edges and fall into things?
He had early ESPN.
Ray Rice, 21 yards on Rutgers' initial drive. It wasn't in there on that 3rd and goal play. Underwood in motion to the tight end side. Rice, not much running up the middle. That's what Rutgers wants to do. Good news for the Bulls fans. Selby has a back strain, not serious, and he's right back in there.
Yeah, they need everybody they can on the inside. They've been concerned at South Florida about not having enough meat on the inside to stop this downhill running game.
Well, they got a lot of meat in the person of number 76, Richard Kleber. He's the big anchor at 312 pounds. He's the guy that the center's got to do something with if they're going to run the ball.
He is the run stopper. He stands centers up and clogs that middle and takes up 2 gaps.
On 2nd and 8, Teal looks deep. Now it's broken up. Batted down by Moffitt at the line of scrimmage.
Moffitt just has a nose for the ball. He gets himself in the right place. He knows what he's doing, runs this defense, and again, being in the right place at the right time, gets a handout.
When the quarterback starts to throw the ball, get your hands up on the defensive line. Dan McCarney is the D-line coach here, the former Iowa State head football coach. When he separates and that ball starts going up, defensive lineman up front, get your hands in the air.
On 3rd and 8, Mike Teal typically likes the crossing routes. Those have been most successful on this down and distance. He tried to get it inside to Britt and was jammed off by Tyler Roberts, the nickelback, and Mike Teal a very slow start. He's just 1 for 5, and Rutgers will have to punt.
Well, I was watching the route, and all of a sudden the ball was out early. So that means, number 1, they're getting pressure on the quarterback, and number 2, Teal is maybe feeling a little hurried and pushing it a little anxious,
And see if Ito decides to use the foot instead of the arm this time. We're betting on it.
Foot.
Marcus Edwards chases this punt at inside the 40. It kind of takes a sandwich bounce, and the Knights will cover it at the 43. 36 yards on the punt. 3-3 game. Good field position for USF.
Before there was a United States, a college was founded in the heart of New Jersey. Before there were bowl games, the first college football game was played at Rutgers. Before there were cures for tuberculosis, Rutgers scientists discovered the breakthrough antibiotic. Before the Supreme Court's landmark ruling, a Rutgers alumna helped make the case for desegregation. Before the world changes again, Rutgers will be working on it. Rutgers, Jersey roots, global reach.
This game being broadcast on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro TV, and our aerial coverage provided by the Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey Blimp. 75 years of making healthcare work for its 3.3 million members. Beautiful night, balmy night here in late October in New Jersey. Second possession for the Bulls. Once again, Ben Williams is the setback. They take it to him. First run of the night for Grothy, and a nice crease. Grothy inside the 45 before Courtney Green and Lee combined on the stop, 14 yards.
Greasy, slippery, whatever you want to call it. Matt Grothy is a runner that has good vision and patience, but you're going to see the breakup here in the middle of this field. I mean, this is a major, that's a breakdown in assignment.
And we heard Coach Sciano talking about staying on the upfield shoulder to protect against those boots to the right side or the reads to the right.
Williams has a crease. Ben Williams into the secondary, spinning inside the 35. So two big running plays, 15 yards there, and the Bulls are threatening.
And again, you're going to see some breakdowns here. A lot of movement up front, and you're running right by at the defensive line in here. You've got to break down and can't get beyond the ball carrier in the handoff.
Sherman Lewis, the backup defensive end, fooled there. 5 receivers. Williams, the tailback, in the slot. Grothy looks left. Flush out. Now fires a low pass. Jesse Hester Jr. And this is Dad, the famous Florida State receiver. Did he catch it? They're going to talk about it. They're giving it to him at the 18-yard line.
You know,
it's near a first down.
Talk about finding a way to get it done. An unblocked rusher in his face. He steps off balance. Looks like he's throwing it with his wrong hand the way he threw the ball. And he kind of pushes it out there, but gets the completion near the first down marker.
Looks like they'll take a look at it in the replay booth. It will be a first down if the catch stands at the 18. Two quarterbacks starting very differently. Grothy, sharp. Teal struggling a bit.
Yeah, I think, you used the right word, Chris, anxious a little bit on Mike Till's part, and I think they felt like maybe at Rutgers they could make some big plays. It looks like this is a catch here.
Yeah, I think so too.
After our record with replays, I'm going to abstain on these for a little while.
Saying our batting average is very good at predicting.
I don't know that it's batting average, but we have had some funky calls.
Yes, we
had a chance last night at dinner. This officiating crew was next to us, and they were like, boy, you guys had a case study last week on Florida State.
Video confirms the call on the field. The ball was caught by the receiver. The results in a first down.
Well, we thank them for being expeditious, unlike the ACC crew.
And that's what they said they wanted to do. Make a decision. Replay booth, make sure you get the word down, and let's get after it and make the decision.
Well, make the right decision, though. We'll just make the right decision fast.
Well, last week we had an 8 to 10 minute delay.
They like it in the Sundome as the Bulls are threatening now with a first down. Grothy to Williams. He was tracked down. Very short gain. Good pursuit by Jamal Westerman. Played some high school football in Florida before heading up to Prompton, Ontario.
You know, backing up to that last play, Silvestro came through clean. And Grothy just slid to the side, avoided him, and found a way to get the ball off.
It's Torres Johnson, the starting receiver down on the field, seems to be okay. About 5 races to go. The chase is heating up. Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart fighting to stay alive. Don't miss the short track rubbing and racing. His finest, the Nextel Cup. Historic Martinsville on ABC Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern with NASCAR Countdown.
But the point I'm trying to make about that is he's not the exceptional athlete that's going to beat you with his speed, his strength. It's more his quickness and savvy that he makes plays.
Grothy looks at the sideline. We'll see this a lot. Plenty of time on the play clock. You see trips left. That's often a running formation for the Bulls. This time Grothy wants to pass. Pressured. They'll take off. Grothy showing the quickness. Mike Grothy diving for the end zone. appear to be that speedy, but it's deceptive, and he got some good downfield blocks.
And you're absolutely right. That is a run formation for them. And, man, I think he pulled out the Doug Flutie move here in the backfield.
This is the fish hook I was talking about before. You start one way and reverse your field, make the little hook move, and then he decides, you know what, I got a chance to get in, lowers the shoulder and gets in. He's just, it wasn't like watching Pat White fly down the field.
No, it wasn't.
It's a different kind of, it's some quickness, a little bit of speed, and a little bit of grit.
So 2 possessions, 10 points for the Bulls, and their fans loving it in the Sundome.
Well, this is a funnel theory tonight on defense, and you had the run formation right, Chris. And so right now, Greg Schiano is scratching his head and fired up because he lost contain. Do not allow Matt Grothe to get outside of you, and that's exactly what happened from a young freshman, 26, LaFage, on the outside. 26 lost containment.
He's not the starting safety, guys. Ron Giroux, they counted him for leadership, still can't go, a high ankle sprain, and LaFage filling in the best he can, but there's a major drop-off.
Yeah, they blitzed the quarterback, brought 6 guys. You're coming off the edge. Stay upfield shoulder. What is it, 1+ we said? With Schiano was talking about his outside contain rusher. Stay at least a yard above the quarterback and don't lose contain.
This is a defense for Rutgers that's used to shutting people down. They allow less than 300 yards a game. And USF has had good success mixing it up in the first couple possessions. Greg Gregory is the offensive coordinator. Mike Canales, you see, he's the passing game coordinator, comes from a BYU background and been various places. The Jets, he was at the University of Arizona, so they split duties. But Gregory runs the show. Dennis Campbell for Rutgers. He's popped at the 27. So Rutgers back to work now in a 7-point hole late first quarter. We'll see if Teal can settle down, Doug.
He's got to take his time. We're talking with the coaches for Rutgers. They're talking about their offense. They can't do standard routes on these corners. These corners are exceptional corners and will jump a regular out route, hook route, whatever. You have to use some double moves or some crossers where you pick people. But just the standard drop back and throw routes are not going to beat these corners.
First down throw. Teal over the middle. Batted away. There's that good corner play. Mike Jenkins, so quick. In fact, the comparison made by Wally Burnham to Deion Sanders, that's pretty high praise.
And he particularly talked about Jenkins' ability to close the gap, to run people down. They really praised him. Last year, Jenkins chased down Pat White, caught him at the 3, had a turnover, really turned around for them. So South Florida, they've got the corners, they've got the speed.
Mel Kiper says that Jenkins was a junior this year. If he came out, might be a mid-first rounder. Second and 10, it's Rice. Rice hammers ahead up near the 35. It'll set up a 3rd and 3. Carlton Williams is the coach on the field for this defense. There to stop him. Well, Jim Leverett hired, played a scrimmage back in '96, their first football game in September of '97. They beat Kentucky Wesleyan, and the stakes have risen sharply since then, joining the Big East 3 years ago. We talked about it, some pretty good wins along the way. Won a bowl game last year over East Carolina, but the wins at Auburn and home against West Virginia up the ante. And now they're playing with the big boys from the Blue Tees. Teal, this is a completion. A first down, and across the 40-yard line is Kevin Brock, the senior tight end. Glad to have him back in the lineup. Brock missing the first few games with an injury, but 3 catches last week against Syracuse. They need that tight end component in this offense.
And they need it right now to get Teal's confidence. It was a nice little job of hooking up between the linebackers.
Moffitt was all over him, and Teal turned that ball loose and stuck it on his chest. That was a big conversion for them throwing the ball. Work inside on those linebackers rather than the top-notch corners out there.
First time they've converted a 3rd down. Just the 2nd completion for Teal, and goes back to Rice. Good penetration by Williams, the safety, on the stop. Well, Saturday, the battle in the Big Ten as the #1 team, Ohio State, welcomes Michigan State to the Horseshoe. That's regional action. Some of you will see Cal, UCLA, Miami, Florida State. Very different feel of that rivalry. Or Texas Tech and Missouri, a real shootout in the Big 12. 3:30 Eastern Time. Regional coverage on ABC.
Tell us a little bit about Miami and Florida State when that's not the headliner.
Far from it on this Saturday. Neither is USC Notre Dame. Different kind of year. Rice up the middle, barrels for a first down near the 40 of the Bulls. Dragging 2 tacklers for 14. That's a Ray Rice run.
And if you don't have safety support backside here, these fellas have got to come up and play defense, and they got to get in the running lanes. They're not good, strong defenders from the safety positions.
Well, actually, they started in a one-back set, but then the fullback goes in motion and gets to the backfield. It becomes a 2-back run downhill, and the safety doesn't get up in there quick enough because of the motion.
John Bellinger, he's number 32, hadn't had a single carry all season. He's just a blocking fullback. Good job there. Rice this time hit in the backfield and spun for a loss by Moffitt. It's going to be a good duel all night, Rice and that guy Moffitt.
Some folks have asked if maybe Greg Schiano gives too many carries to Ray Rice. And we asked him about it yesterday. He said, hey, look, Ray Rice trains like a professional athlete, takes care of his body.
Year-round, he takes care of his body, and he gets stronger as the game goes. And he proved that a week ago, and he's over his history. His second halves have always been stronger than his first half, and he feels everybody else gets tired.
It takes a special back, though, doesn't it? He carried it 36 times Saturday, right back on a Thursday night, already with 11 carries. Teal wants to go downfield. Looking long for Tim Brown, intercepted, now drops. Trey Williams had his hand on it as he made the dive. Good coverage on Tim Brown. There was nothing there for Teal.
I think, again, that's just pushing the ball somewhere it shouldn't be thrown. And when you start messing around with 21 and number 4 over there, Jenkins, and the defense is just good. Williams is one of those guys up inside putting pressure out there.
Well, this was an all-out blitz. Cover 0, no safety in the middle. If the ball is thrown across the field, he has a chance. But the problem was Teal had to put the ball up early and kind of guessed and laid it out over the top.
Trey Williams, and when you're doing that against Trey Williams, he's going to make most of those picks.
He was very close to having controlled that ball before he hit the ground. You can see landing on the football. He'll have to take a breather here. And Teal fires over the middle, complete. It's Underwood for a first down inside the 30. He beat Carlton Williams for 14.
So far, Teal's completions have been to a tight end against a linebacker, a receiver up the slot, again an inside slot receiver. You know, Underwood here takes it up inside, and he's working in a zone, sits in the hole, and bang. They're not getting the completions on the outside versus the corners. They're getting it versus the linebackers and safeties.
Good timing on that delivery, though, Doug. Threw it just at the top of the break. Squeeze it in there. So maybe he's gaining in confidence. This is Rice. Turns the corner. Ray Rice lowers the shoulder pads and gets about 8 as he ran over the corner, Ryan Gilliam.
Ray said that the biggest development that he's had is patience. Inside, guard tackle coming around the outside, and then the burst. We've seen 2 or 3 times now Ray Rice coming around the corner with some speed, and not just speed, but some woodshed.
He brings it at the end of the run and delivers the blow.
Coming at you.
Rice with 52 yards in the first quarter. There's Michael Strahan of the New York Giants in the house tonight here in Jersey. We'll visit with him as we come back after a quarter. The second-ranked Bulls up by a touchdown in Jersey. Start of the second quarter here. 2 possessions, 10 points for USF, but Rutgers chewing on the clock. Had it for almost 10 minutes of that first quarter, running almost double the number of plays as USF. This is play number 10 on this drive. A 2nd and 2 from the Bulls 20. Rice hammers ahead. Again, heavy contact, and Rice shoves the pile as flags fly all over the place. He's down to the 5-yard line.
Well, that's encouraging for Rutgers right there. Is that not what they wanted to do? Talk about a downhill run.
We got 3 flags at least on the field.
I didn't throw mine on it. I couldn't reach.
Personal foul. Face mask, number 15. Penalty half the distance to the goal line. First down.
I've always been a big believer that when the running back carries the ball with passion, that it invigorates an offensive line. That offensive line up front, and you watch these legs. We saw his legs in the shorts yesterday. He pulled them up, and he showed us he's got some power. That's why a safety doesn't want to come up and meet him in the hole.
It's a serious face mask penalty, by the way, too. Mike Jenkins dragged it for about 5 yards.
He wasn't going to go down, and Jenkins knew it, and his last-ditch effort was hold on to this face mask and hope.
Well, that's going to get spotted, and it was by every official on the field.
It was either that or he was going to wind up in the end zone.
First and goal. The muscles to the left of the formation. And that's where Rice is running. But it's tough to go wide on this defense. That's a loss of a yard. Moffitt on the stop again.
Ball carrier.
Successful defensive play there. Push him east and west. They got a much better shot of bringing him down, Ray Rice down, than up the middle.
Remember, this was the problem earlier. Rutgers had a first and goal at the 2, had to settle for a field goal. They're very good in the red zone. It's a very good percentage, but in their goal-to-go situations, they don't score touchdowns a very high percentage of the time.
Well, this is back in the first quarter, what you're talking about here. They get down to the goal line and just couldn't quite punch it in.
It's Teal. It's a fake direct snap, and the Bulls aren't fooled. Rice took the direct snap as Teal faked that it had gone over his head. You get back down to the 2. It'll set up another 3rd and goal.
Well, still, that's a good positive play in the red zone to be moving the pile forward, moving forward. Another one of those that get in the end.
What do you think, though? They keep trying the trickery down close.
I agree. I agree. Go to your patented stuff, pound the ball, run that power off tackle, and it's been stuffed a couple times, so you go to the power pass where the fullback
do they
goes out
not
in the front.
trust that they can move Cleveland out of there and have success with their butter?
There's only one Cleveland over there. That's 300 pounds. The rest of those guys are in that 260 range. You got a big 300-pound offensive line with Ray Rice running it. You get down the hill.
No, they'll talk about it. The play clock running down, and Rutgers will take a timeout on this crucial 3rd down. So we'll check in with Reese Davis, 38-30 update in the studio. Reese?
All right, Chris, after a glorious 12-year run that included 4 world championships, Joe Torre done as manager of the Yankees. He rejected a 1-year offer worth a reported $5 million, which would be a $2.5 million pay cut, and decides that he will not manage the Yankees next year. Also in baseball, just underway, Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. Cleveland trying to close out Boston. Kevin Youkilis has gone yard in that game. Manny was tagged out at the plate without sliding. You'll hear all the games on ESPN Radio. John Miller, Joe Morgan there. Sports Center after the game. Stay current, ESPN News.
Gets a grimace from Flutie, the Manny Ramirez thing. Hey, big connection between Tampa, where the powwow is going on regarding Torrey's future, and the New York area tonight with the Bulls here and Steinbrenner and company down there. Joe Torre saying no thank you.
How about Torre, though? You know, I mean, people reject a $5 million salary. You know, it's...
He doesn't need the money.
No, but he likes the respect.
Knights trying to get in the end zone, tie this game on 3rd down. It's Rice, the lone setback. Teal will throw. Touchdown. Rifling it to Tiquan Underwood. Quiet in Tampa. The frenzy now is in Piscataway as Underwood collects his 5th touchdown of the season, the Knights' leading receiver. They go. Works as Teal delivers the bullet. Ito, perfect this season on PATs. It's 29 for 29. 10-10.
Underwood does a great job on this route of sitting down in the window. Brock, the tight end, goes up and through and runs to the corner and clears out the zone coverage. Underwood comes underneath, hooks up, and bang. Great timing by Teal.
Well, it's all a result of the play action and the running game of Ray Rice, getting it in there, and you've got linebackers. There's that cushion between the corners and the safeties. There's so much focus on Ray Rice. Underwood being very disciplined about sitting in a hole and making sure that Teal could find him.
So that the Giants star, Michael Strahan, coming from Jersey to join us now on the sidelines. Michael, Texas Southern was your school. I guess they didn't quite play college football at this level, so you get the chance to watch a real significant game tonight.
Hey, we played some significant games, man. We played Jackson State and Grambling. Those are big games, especially we were their homecoming feast. So, yeah, this is great to be at Rutgers. My nephew Brett plays baseball here, and they're getting their rings for winning the Big East Championship at halftime. So, decided to come down, get a chance to watch a great football game, and check my nephew out as well.
Nice to get the pop for the Rutgers baseball team in there. Now, did your eye naturally go to the defensive line? These are two pretty stout defenses coming into the game. What have you seen so far down there?
You know what I've seen, and you brought it up earlier, I think when I watch this, when it comes to defensive linemen, how many plays you're actually out there. And Rutgers has ran twice as many plays as South Florida, so it's going to be interesting to see if the line can hold up later in the game, especially with Ray Rice running the way that he runs.
And the defensive guys keep a close eye on that play count. Here's the kick. It's taken short by Ryan Gilliam. And good coverage for the Knights, who drop him at the 17. Smart on the tackle.
Hey, Mike, how about South Florida? You're very aware of where they're from, and do you need anything about them?
Yeah, you know, Savika Mitchell, our linebacker, went there, and he's been bragging about them in the locker room all the time. So trust me, I know where they're from. And I think it's surprising to everybody, including me, that they're number 2 in the country. But they have a fight on their hands. I think now they're the hunted. You know, they're not the hunters now. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can hold on to that ranking and how far they'll go with it.
You know, Michael, what do you think that the main difference is, just as a defensive end, a pass rusher from the college to the NFL level? We're seeing George Selvey. He's the #1 sacker in college football for the Bulls with 11.5. What's the big difference from this level to the next level?
Well, when you get to the next level, everybody you play against is big, strong, and fast. And everybody is working on their technique. It's a full-time job. You're not in school during the day and working on your football in the afternoon. You're working on football all the time. So you'll find out that the competition every week is really, really intense and really tough.
Bulls get the ball back, and Mike Ford, the freshman tailback, makes his first appearance and pops a gain over the middle. In the last couple of years, Michael, we've seen the profile of Rutgers football rise in Jersey and across the river in New York. Is there enough room in the football landscape for you to share things with the Jets and now with the Scarlet Knights?
Oh, without a doubt. You know what? One great thing about New York City is you can support a lot of football teams, baseball, basketball, and college. And the fans here are phenomenal, and Rutgers is doing well now. Coach Ciano's done a great job of the program, and, they're only going to get better. So they definitely have enough fans and enough people out here to support them.
Full house tonight on 2nd and 5. It's complete. Caught over the middle by Marcus Edwards, who's up near midfield. And the Bulls continue to keep Ciano's defense off balance, 26 yards.
And Edwards is a receiver. They're a bunch of really good. They feel like they got 6 to 8 different receivers. No one go-to guy. Stays the course on the outside so that he doesn't drift back inside to the safety and linebacker drop.
Nice little touch on that pass, too. Up over the linebackers, dropping it in a window. Nice little feel on that pass pattern. Good rhythm and timing on the in and around.
And there's nothing more frustrating on defense when you're playing against a team that you know is really good, and they pick up a play like that. Kind of demoralizes you. So on the Rutgers end, they may have run more plays, but it's going to be interesting to see how those guys, their attitude-wise, they can hold up if South Florida continues to make these type of plays. So, when you come to a game like this, you see the college kids, you wonder how are they going to hold up mentally, and Rutgers has a test in that way tonight. Physically, they can do it. Mental aspect, I think, is going to be the challenge.
What about those scrambling quarterbacks like Grothy on that touchdown?
I hate them, like Doug Flutie.
You gotta love that.
I have some black marks on my elbows from the AstroTurf from chasing Doug Flutie and falling and missing. So, we hate, and that's a strong word, but it's true, rushing quarterbacks. No fun at all. I want some stiff that stands in one place and we can just run them over.
But you know what, Mike, when you're going against a running quarterback like that, do you sometimes use your eyes so much out there that you kind of lose a little bit of the aggression?
Sometimes you focus more on where he's at than actually defeating the blocker. And when that's the case, you're basically not going to get any pressure on the quarterback. And we saw earlier with the run that he had around the corner. With a quarterback like this, you have to contain him. And it's tough because obviously he's going to be faster than defensive linemen for the most part. And Rutgers, they did a great job, pretty good job outside of the one play that resulted in a touchdown.
Short gain by Mike Ford. Good job, by the way, so far with the Giants. You got the 49ers this weekend. You've got a book coming out which deals with a whole lot of topics, Michael. Some of them controversial. What do you hope to communicate to people who read the book?
Well, the book is written really for fans and for family and friends so they can stop asking me what it's like to play professional football. Read the book. It talks about everything. What happens in the locker room, under the pile, contract negotiations, and a big sack by Rutgers. That's what we needed.
Well, now it's we. That was Jamal Westerman combining with the safety of LaFage. And we is, Michael says, first sack of the night.
That we stuff came from the outside from a young man who lost LaFage, lost contain on the touchdown run by Matt Grothe. See him at the top, Doug.
He comes on the outside shoulder. Watch him hit him with his left shoulder. He stayed on the top side of the quarterback so he couldn't sprint out of there.
Hey, Michael, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Best of luck this Sunday. Best of luck with the book. Great job.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
3rd and 17. Grothe, perfect so far tonight. Fires downfield, a catch, but short of the first down. Tough catch in traffic by Dontavia Bogan, the freshman, for 15 yards. Let's go to EA.
Well, guys, while you were having that great talk there with Michael Strahan, over here on Rutgers sidelines, Greg Schiano was very fired up with Joe LaFage. He actually dropped his headset, got in the guy's face, and said, will you start thinking with your head? Of course, you saw what happened when he went back out there on the field to Matt Grothe, guys.
That was a clutch completion, but it's still 4th and 2. And they're not going to take a gamble. Levitt wants to punt it with Alvarado. Rutgers, pretty good pressure. Alvarado just boots this one right into the end zone. No real good effort at a pooch kick. If you're going to do that, you might as well go for it, huh?
Absolutely.
So Rutgers gets the football back, 10-10 in Piscataway. Every day. Scarlet Knights of the Bulls, 10-10 in New Jersey. Piscataway and College Town. Scarlet Knights City. Nice little town, not too far from Newark, New Jersey. You're supposed to ask what exit when you talk about New Jersey, as we see Taurus Johnson, leading receiver for the Bulls, a right foot or ankle problem. Rice picks his way, short game. They use a lot of different receivers, so the loss of any one for the Bulls perhaps not crucial, but Johnson did come into the game with 22 catches, tops on the team.
They talk about just calling the route, letting the quarterback read it out and throws to whoever happens to be on the field at that time. So it shouldn't be a big deal to what they do.
Rice already, guys, with 16 carries. Just 5 days removed from a 36-carry game on the artificial turf up at Syracuse.
No problem. Wants more.
You say so. Rice hammers ahead. Not much there. It'll set up a 3rd and medium. Now this was a special game, again, off back-to-back losses. They fell down 14-0 to Syracuse, and then number 27 got busy. A block punt changed momentum. Look at him. He was moving quick.
He said he put the team on his shoulders, and they said, let's go. Now, that Mr. Magoo music, I'm not sure that necessarily matches his running style.
Schiano said he ran harder last week, especially in that second half, than he's ever seen him run.
Buck 47 after halftime. 3 total touchdowns. You lose up at Syracuse and your season comes apart in a hurry. That was a crucial rally. From 14 zip down, they dominated and rang up more than 500 yards offense. 3rd and 5. A low throw, incomplete. Underwood was wide open. Teal couldn't quite get it there.
But again, Underwood is wide open now, running a corner route, but it doesn't matter. He's sitting in that window. This ball,
he's got to step
short
up and throw it, though.
And bounces. Did he get his hands on it?
No.
It's not a catch.
I got some green. But I get the feeling, Doug, that when I'm watching Mike Teal in the pocket right now, compared to the other games, he's not confident. He's not stepping to his throws. He's thinking more about that defensive line who plays in the backfield.
It's got to be in the back of his mind is the speed of this defensive line, this entire defense, and getting rid of the ball and avoiding sacks.
He's been sacked once tonight. Ito takes a step and boots a line drive punt. Marcus Edwards, a strange fair catch. It traveled 37 yards, and Bulls will once again have pretty good field position.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Midway second quarter, beginning to rain here. Let's go to EA for a quick weather report. Aaron, how bad is it?
It's not time for the Gore-Tex yet, but it's a light sprinkle. These USF Bulls are used to it, though, Chris. I'll keep you updated on the rain situation.
Appreciate it. Ben Williams back in the game as the setback. The junior who's carried the bulk of the running load tonight. Grothy, perfect passing. Run it 3 times for 24. No turnovers, only 1 penalty tonight. Pretty clean start. That's both teams combined. Grothy keeps it and has a crease. Grothy, center sets into the secondary. Drags a man to the 43.
Grothy, the ball carrier.
Jason McCourty, one of the McCourty twins, on the stop, but a 14-yard gain.
Well, you saw the stat, the passing yards, the rushing yards. He's the leading rusher on this team. He makes a play through the air. He's reading it, fakes the handoff. Actually, this isn't even a read. This is a run all the way, it appears to me.
Yeah, but you know what? When we listened to practice yesterday, and Devin McCourty, the corner's got to get down in that. They do not want to play outside the phone booth in this game against Grothy.
Talked to Matt Grothy's dad, also named Matt. He says he's so nervous during games he almost loses his lunch. Matt, nothing bothers him. Gets the snap off just before the play clock expires, and there's his first incompletion of the night. Tried to get it to Ben Williams. Grothy, a guy that has been called, no disrespect, but a poor man's Tim Tebow. Not quite the size of the Gators quarterback. Certainly not the hype recruit that Tebow was at a high school.
Well, we've seen his running style here tonight, how slippery he is. If you don't get on him immediately, Grothy will get you. And there's his dad. You think he's ready to lose his lunch that he had?
When he pulls those balls, Dad's, the problem is sitting in the stands, you have no control over anything, so you're a nervous wreck.
He's been in high school coaching. He knows the game well. Grothy fires over the middle, incomplete. Trying to get it to Amari Jackson for his first catch of the night, but Jason McCourty was defending.
You know, and the dad, when you're in the stands, you have to depend on receivers to take care of your son, and so there's a drop ball. Catch the ball.
Catch the ball, son. Jackson had his hands on the ball, could have made the play.
Mom Brenda there. They had 2 other sons, younger sons. Matt's the older. The 3 boys. Third and 10. They're 0 for 2 tonight. Rutgers shows pressure and brings it up the middle. Grothy lost it to the outside. Incomplete. He was looking for Dontavia Bogan, the freshman. LaFedge, the young safety on the coverage. Bogan bringing pressure there, guys.
Bogan didn't exactly. Grothy had to rush to throw and throw it a little bit early and anticipate. And Bogan didn't come out at the angle that Grothy thought he would come out at. He came out nice and flat,
or the angle that Levitt wanted him either.
No, somebody didn't take the right angle.
Alvarado to punt. High kick. This time he does a better job of not booting it in the end zone. It's fumbled. Picked up by the Bulls. And now they'll blow it. A whistle. Eric Setzer. He's the long snapper who was down there. He's got possession.
This is a muffed punt. Therefore, it cannot be advanced. Where if he had caught this ball, got hit and fumbled, it can be advanced. But this is a muff, and the ball ends up in the return team's arms.
You just said it had been a very cleanly played game up until that point.
The ruling on the play is that the ball touched the receiver and then bounced into the possession of the kicker. I rule the ball's automatically dead. First down.
Did not hit the ground, and again, that's the man that snapped it. Eric Setzer all the way down. The fumble by Brown. right into the big fella's hands. He can't advance it, but good
hustle. The running style here. How's that form?
But you know what I like is the referee, John McDade, he gives the explanation for it. They keep the play going on the field, and they don't take time away from the game.
So the first mistake of the night by the Scarlet Knights sets up the Bulls at the 18. Brophy's got it. Flag down as Brophy's tackled after about a 7-yard gain. Rankard on the stop. Flag was in the holding zone.
Holding. Number 65 off. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Now they got Ryan Schmidt, the left guard.
There's a major breakdown on the left side or the right side of the defense at Rutgers right now. And you're going to see on the outside, there's nobody. When you see this play develop, Matt Grothe is supposed to be contained and pinned. Linebacker has got to slide out. Somebody has got to make sure that Grothe is funneled back to somebody in the middle of the field. They talked and preached about it all day in practice yesterday.
First and 20 after the holding penalty. Grothe looks, fires on the slant. It's caught by Jesse Hester Jr. into the end zone. Just like his dad used to do. 28 yards. And the Grothes love that. And so do the folks in the Sun Dome.
You talked about this being a clean football game. When Rutgers has had problems, it's been because of turnovers and lack of execution. We've seen their defense meltdown against Maryland.
They're calling unsportsmanlike on Hester after the touchdown.
They had an unblocked rusher coming off the edge right at Grothe. He stood there, both feet under him, calm, cool, collected, and delivered a strike to Hester. It was just a great execution by the offense.
Levitt getting the explanation about the unsportsmanlike on the touchdown. You saw Mike Canales, the passing game coordinator, showing his displeasure with Hester.
It has like to be Hugh Campbell, the line judge, having to listen to all the coaches, and all that, and be diplomatic, a little political over there. Nice, lend an ear.
No, thank you. You asked me, do I want that job?
No way.
Alvarado makes it a 7-point lead once again for USF. So Grothe still sharp. And they convert on the muffed punt. Here's the touchdown, and there's what drew the flag from the Big East official. That's a little bit strict, isn't it? Let him have fun. Yep. (17-10). The Bulls convert the muff punt by the Scarlet Knights. Grothe's first touchdown pass of the night. We salute the Big East officials who, during the entire month of October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, lending visibility to the cause by using pink whistles. We don't think the whistle should have been used in the touchdown play for a 15-yard penalty on Hester, but I guess the shh to the crowd, so they got him for. I don't know.
Yeah, the quieting of the crowd, little taunting towards the crowd.
Very little.
And I am the first to throw a flag on that type of stuff. I am. I don't think this.
You're old school, huh?
I'm very old school.
Watch the official, though. He'll stare him down.
Watch him stare him down.
Yeah.
You want some of this?
I got a pink whistle and I got a yellow flag, and you're not going to win this one.
Do you want some of this?
The yellow flag is what's important about that play, and it'll be a kickoff back at the 15-yard line.
But it was great execution on the touchdown pass by Grothe. The rush was on. Rankard came out, number 47, off the edge, unblocked, coming down on him hard. He stood there, calm, cool, collected, delivered a strike.
Very good start. This is a team, when you look at the offensive numbers, it's pretty pedestrian, frankly. It's a team built around defense. Grothe's skills obviously carry this offense, but none of the numbers really pop out at you.
Which they like. They like that. No problem with it.
Tichy to kick off from the 15. And coming up the field, it is James Townsend. Townsend still alive across the 40, so that flag results in good field position as the Knights will once again try to answer a touchdown by USF.
Talking about average numbers offensively for USF, but defense wins championships. If they're going to be a championship caliber, yes, I've heard it too many times. It's the offense selling the tickets and the defense actually winning the games for you.
The fact that they've got an experienced defensive coaching staff, Jim Levitt having a great fire about him, I mean, it's a great story when you talk about the Yellow Submarine think tank of that defensive staff over there.
We'll get into that. That's where they come up with a defensive game plan every week. Defense on the field as Rutgers takes it 1st and 10, and one more time Rice ran into his own blocker. Aaron, what about that Yellow Submarine room?
I don't know anything about the Beatles. That's your generation, guys. Well, when you talk about the years of experience on USF's defense, how about this? 116 years of experience, head by Wade Burnham and the folks that accompany Dan McCarney, Rachel, Tim Douglas. They talk about the Yellow Submarine that they go in. They said they're in there from hours. 12 noon to 12 midnight. It starts to smell like men in there, old feet. After a while, they start getting giddy. But I talked to Tim Douglas, who is the youngest coach for the defense for USF, and he says, hey, I'm the only one using the PowerPoint, the BlackBerry. These guys don't know anything, so I keep them young. Kind of like me with you guys.
Okay, well, the defense knew what they were doing right there. It's the short completion. Nenovic, the tight end, stopped by Ben Moffitt. Old feet, huh?
Smells like
old feet. That's not a very pretty picture in there, but they come up with some nice game plans.
Yeah, Troy Douglas says that they go in there really on Sunday and they just lock the door and they start working and they stay in there around midnight. He starts playing those fight songs. And
I'll tell you what, though, coaches put in so many hours. They sleep in their offices. They don't see their families. People got to realize how many hours these guys really put in.
It's been paying off. From humble beginnings, USF up at number 2, trying to get a stop on 3rd and 9, and Teal has a completion over the middle. Big hit in the secondary, but Underwood holds on. Williams delivered the blow, but 16 yards.
We talked about Teal's presence in the pocket. It's been lacking, not on this play. Man, this time he really stands in there and delivers the ball and gets hit.
Little second hitch there, hanging onto it, stayed under control, delivered the ball, and Underwood takes another big hit and hangs on.
Offensive line for Rutgers that led the nation. Fewest sacks allowed last year, only 8. Given up 4 so far this year, which is again among the national lead. And Knights will take a timeout here. It's their final timeout of the half. 5:20 to play. Well, Michigan had off the rough start in the season, the losses, but now the Wolverines are rolling as they head into Champaign, and the Illini have to regroup after the deflating loss at Iowa. 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. Illinois pretty one-dimensional on offense, and they caught up to him against the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, but if there's a weakness at Michigan, it's defending an offense that really moves you around, spreads you out. We saw Oregon, Dennis Dixon, what he did to them, and Juice Williams and company, they might be a little challenge for that Michigan defense.
Yeah, but the bottom line for Michigan now is they are 3-0 in conference. They may be the team again, even after the 0-2 start, and what looked real scary for them, to be the contender with Ohio State, or the one team that can challenge Ohio State.
They did a great job, that Wolverines defense, last week against Purdue. They just smothered the spread of Tiller. Got way ahead in that game. The final score was misleading, but Michigan dropped the hammer on them.
Chad Henne's got to get it going, too. I mean, we've seen Henne in the past have some games and throw, and he's got to replace Mike Hart's
I thought he was pretty sharp in his first game back, though. This is Rice. A stiff arm to get the corner and get down near the 30. 11 yards, shoved out by Allen. And the workhorse continues. 19 carries for Rice in the first half to earn his 81 yards.
Equal yards outside as well as inside. Here's that patience that he was talking about, being able to jump to the outside, the stiff arm.
Knocked down
Selby gets closed down inside. They're forcing Rutgers, a power play that usually is designed to go off tackle. They're forcing it to bounce and go outside.
That wasn't just a stiff arm. He shoved Selby to the ground with that. You know, running back up here loves that.
Oh, man.
It's Rice again. Carry number 20. Now he tried that stiff arm on the left side, and Bowie wasn't buying a loss. Just try the stiff arm on me, big guy.
Bowie did a great job of sliding laterally with this play, and again, this was a straight toss for the corner, and they couldn't get outside.
They designed trying to get to the corner there. The last few have been really meant to allow the defense to make a mistake, and South Florida's defense has, for the most part tonight, they've kept their lanes.
You guys have said that, you know, Rice is like a pro, indestructible, but I wonder if these carries are going to really pile up coming off that busy game on Saturday. I wonder if he'll feel the effects in the second half more than the defense. Teal over the middle. Tried to thread it to Underwood, incomplete. Roberts on the coverage. Underwood, a catchable ball. It was low, but it was there.
Back to your question about Ray Rice, do you think it'll start to have a toll on him? When you get around the guy and you feel him, his energy and his vibes that come off the guy. I mean, pregame, he was down there.
Did you feel him, or his energy, his presence?
His energy and presence.
Okay. Hey, man. He was intense during pregame, and some of those South Florida players were trying to talk a little smack, and he was just staring them down. We saw him talking back a little bit just before we came off.
Knights not very successful on 3rd and long tonight. You need 11. Rice in as a blocker as Teal fires. Intercepted in and out of the hands. Boy, Carlton Williams came up, read the route, jumped it, almost had a pick.
Well, you keep working the inside of the field, and eventually these two safeties on the middle of the field are going to figure it out.
There's nothing to clear the safety out, so Williams reads it all the way and just drives on the ball. And even though this is a ball he should have intercepted and caught, that ball speeds up. When you're running directly back at the quarterback like that to try to intercept it, that's a tricky catch.
But one that corners and secondary guys work on.
Now that's why they play in the secondary.
You know, the drop
wide receivers.
It may cost him 3 points as Ito is on from 48 yards. This would be his long so far this season. Career long is 53, and USF will spend a timeout here. I think they were talking about the potential for a fake. They just didn't have the right personnel on the field.
Maybe both. Well, we've seen a fake punt earlier in the first quarter, so Greg Schiano's not allergic to some kind of trickeration here.
Talked about the relatively brief timeline for this USF program. This is the 11th season, only the 3rd in the Big East. Of course, Rutgers beat Princeton 6-4 in 1869, which credited as the first college game.
You were there, right?
Yeah, I remember that. How old do you think I am? 61. They had a perfect season. The Texas Bowl, first bowl win last season. They came very close to winning the conference crown and playing in the BCS. It was the loss in West Virginia that cost them that bowl bid. In the Big East, you don't have great bowl tie-ins. Need to get that corrected. If you lose, you can drop from the BCS to a really minor bowl. So again, Ito from 48 to cut the Bulls lead to 4. Blocked. It's blocked. Scooped up. Fumbled ahead. And now another fumble. It's Trey Williams scooping up the ball. And Williams heading for the end zone. They're signaling a touchdown.
They're throwing a flag here on the intentionally fumbling the ball forward, especially the second one.
Well, Schiano wanted a flag.
They didn't throw the flag. They threw the beanbags. They threw beanbags at the spot of where the ball was intentionally shoveled forward.
That was clearly not an attempt to field the ball. They batted it forward. Storming in was Tyrone McKenzie to make the block.
That's an intentional shovel
Mike
forward.
Jenkins initially, he had it, he threw it forward.
And then Williams scoops it up and takes it the last 20 yards. It looked like they'd practiced that. They knew what to do.
These are judgment-type decisions. That's a forward pass.
He was hit there.
The second one, Schiano's following him all the way down the field on this. He's saying, now, wait a minute, that was intentional. This is intentional. The second one, there was control of the ball, and it's actually a forward pass, which should be an illegal forward pass and an incompletion. Well, I don't know that they can even...
But you don't do that just all of a sudden by chance in Piscataway, New Jersey, come up and start trying to do that. This is something where, as a block unit, you work on this, advancing the ball there.
You can get away with that first one. You can't get away with that.
That second one, that's the shovel forward.
He did get hit from behind, though.
Fowler, you're not going there. Don't you think he intentionally?
Of course he did, but you have to have an official see it that way clearly in the heat of the moment.
Good point.
The judgment of whether it's intentional or not,
he was hit.
Cannot be disputed. But I think if you review it, you can dispute the second one as an illegal forward pass because he had possession of the ball.
This is where the replay booth has to really assist the officials on the field.
But it depends on what you're allowed to actually review here.
Well,
Oh, they can rule that.
That would be hard to say that it was intentional.
He was hit.
Get away with that. He was hit. The ball was shifting from the left hand to the right hand,
and then
but it was
forward.
But a little bit forward.
Oh, your contention is that Mike Jenkins, number 4, the first player, is escorting Williams into the end zone, that his
initial
hit was illegal.
Yeah.
That to me looked like a legitimate foul.
The second one was the one I thought live.
Hey, how about this? Last week at Florida State at Wake Forest, we get a case study because the officiating crew tonight, they had to review a crazy call that took 8 to 10 minutes.
We talked with this crew last night and hoping we didn't have something come up, and this is
great penetration.
That is flagrant to me that Jenkins throws that up forward, and this is flagrant after the fact. But the ball was knocked out.
Well,
flagrant.
So the
ball was knocked loose.
But then he slapped it forward with his right hand.
It's going to be returned though, and it's going to come back because it's an illegal propelling of the football forward. You just can't do it.
But not on this one. On the first attempt, you're saying.
The replay booth upstairs will come back on this thing. They're going to bring the ball back. You cannot advance the ball. Illegal propelling of the football, and the replay booth is going to come up with that.
Illegal propelling of the football. We were just told that by
that's right.
Crew came
the head of the conference crew.
You couldn't let it go and let Craig have the credit for.
Well, I mean that's what's so good about it. You know, we've told these folks when we're up here in the booth and we're announcing a game, we're at the mercy of trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to call down there. You know, what are they looking at? How are they trying to review it?
You know what's great about this though? They have obviously been coached that on a block kick, let's push that ball forward, get it ahead of the crowd, scoop and score. Don't just fall on the ball and get the...
Yeah, that didn't just by happenstance. No. You don't just show up at Rutgers and get the idea that you're going to advance the ball.
Well, whether or not the touchdown stands, even if the Bulls just get possession, it's an enormous play in this game. There was a blocked field goal that turned things around for Rutgers last week against Syracuse. And this, instead of cutting it to a 4-point Bulls lead, USF, even if the touchdown comes off the board, as Craig has told us it will, they'll still have possession of 7.
He's got inside information.
If it's so clear-cut, how come the review is still going on?
Marking of the ball is very tricky.
Video overturns the call on the field. There's an illegal forward pass from the 39-yard line. The ball by rule is dead when it hits the ground. 5-yard penalty for an illegal forward pass will be enforced on the recovering team 5 yards from the 39-yard line. It'll be first down from there. Will the game clock operator please put 4:17 on the clock?
So touchdown off the board and one of the latest flags we've ever seen. There never was a flag thrown on the play.
Exactly.
He threw it on the review.
Thank you.
I have never seen the flag.
Look at the look here. Jim Levitt, you know what?
I've never seen the flag come out during the review announcement.
But you know what?
That was great.
Replay worked in this instance.
Absolutely.
They were able to help the officiating crew on the field in a pretty quick manner make the call that takes some points off the board. But
who remembers the holy roller for the San Diego Chargers?
Not me.
Against the San Diego Chargers, I should say, by the Oakland Raiders.
What, the holy roller you're talking about?
Holy roller. Yeah. Stabler, Casper, bobbles it into the end zone. That's basically what they did.
But, of course, the block stands, and now the Bulls try to build on the 7-point lead before halftime. Set up at the Rutgers 44 after the 5-yard penalty. True freshman Jamar Taylor is the setback, and a flag before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 9 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Got John Sophie joining us on a headset of the Big East officiating crew. Just a further explanation of the flag there, which actually was never thrown. The replay booth kind of alerted them to the foul, huh?
Well, we didn't necessarily alert them to the foul, but we wanted to stop the play to review it anyway, just to say that it was illegal because he propels the ball forward towards his own goal line, which is obviously illegal. It's a legal forward pass.
And now a sack of Grothy. On first and long, it'll be second and longer. Courtney Green, the free safety. His first sack of the season.
Green did his job at the right angle of approach to Matt Grothy. This is how you're able to come in and to keep Matt Grothy from doing the flutie move and getting to the outside.
He did a great job of staying upfield. I thought he was going to lose contain. I thought Grothy was going to make it around that corner. Did a great job of staying upfield and hanging on.
Way back at the 35 at 2nd and 31. Grothe has some room. Gets a block, lowers the head, gets right to midfield as another flag flies in. Brendan Renkert on the stop. You said this had been a very clean first 23 minutes of the game. Now the mistakes starting to pile up, and Levitt is hot.
Talk about intensity, huh?
Holding. Number 11 offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Second down.
You got Marcus Edwards, the receiver, downfield. He said, "You got to be kidding me." That's a mad guy.
Well, the visor's already gone. The headset just went.
He's got a real wrinkled up hat all the time. It doesn't stay nice and pressed.
He's good buddies with Bob Stoops, and I see a little Stoopsy right there in that stalking of the sidelines. Marker from the spot, so it's 2nd and 26. It's complete over the middle. Courtney Denson crosses midfield. Let's get back to Reese in the studio.
All right, Chris, coming up on the Pontiac Performance halftime report, Joe Torre rejects the Yankees contract offer. Steve Phillips will join us to talk about that. Jeff Jagodzinski has an undefeated team. The Boston College head coach will join us live to talk about the Eagles' quick start and what lies ahead for them. And also, Robert Smith, Mark May will be here, and we'll break down everything from the first half of college football coming up your way.
Look forward to it. We'll see the BC Eagles a week from tonight at Virginia Tech. Grothe has plenty of room. Nothing but artificial turf as he takes a right turn. Runs out of bounds at the 31, but the 18-yard scramble gives him a first down.
The whole strategy and philosophy at Rutgers defense has been this week to funnel everything back to the middle of the field. And there is nobody in the middle of the field. Once they funnel, Grothe's there by himself, and you can't do that.
Well, Renkart 47 was the guy that was supposed to fill that lane and be there, but he wasn't up tight enough, created too much space. Grothe taken off and run. Every time Rutgers has blitzed him, I think their option is what they're thinking is more rushers, contain him better, but he's still...
We heard him all yesterday, Doug. Shiano all day yesterday preached on containment and spying with somebody different the whole time. There's no way with Grothe that you can allow that to happen.
Once again, Grothe, the leading rusher on this team with 55 yards tonight. This is Williams spinning for a short game. Kevin Mallist on the stop.
When you actually talk about the passing game, Rutgers has had some free rushers. They're blitzing more than can be blocked. The ball should come out in rhythm. The quarterback should go back, hit that foot, take his read, and deliver. Grothe's not doing that. He trusts his athleticism and just avoids the rush, gets the heck out of there, and makes big plays.
You can relate.
Absolutely. Well,
Grothe fires downfield. Good coverage. Amari Jackson didn't have any room. Jason McCourty combining with Green.
But I'll tell you what he's really good at not doing is making mistakes. You know what? If he's going to throw the football, he's going to throw it where his guy can catch it and give himself another play. They had the reprieve on the big, long run there by Grothe to keep the chains moving.
He's avoided mistakes for the most part this season. Only 3 interceptions. That was a problem last year. He had 14 picks as a freshman. Went up a lot as a quarterback in the year. Pressured here, just fires low. It's caught. Short gain as Williams goes above the rug to make the catch in front. Courtney Green came around to deliver the pressure.
And he came wide, didn't it, Doug? I mean, you could see that contained him here. And they've got to really be concerned about trying to get points off of that blocked field goal that they had. They've got to get points off of it.
Glenn Lee, a safety, actually came from a corner position off the edge from the short side of the field and almost got there. They're pressuring Grothe. Any opportunity they get, they want pressure on the quarterback.
So now Alvarado from 45 yards, well in his distance. He hooked it. So replay takes the touchdown off the board. Levitt's team comes up empty after the blocked field goal attempt. Let's go to Aaron.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. I'm here with Mets third baseman David Wright. And before we get to football, let's get to the big story here in New York concerning the other baseball team, the Yankees. What was your reaction when you heard the news about Joe Torre today?
A lot of the players on the Yankee side that have come out and defended Joe, I have a lot of respect for. Veteran players, so the few times that I have had a chance to speak with Joe, he's been awesome. I have the utmost respect in the world for Joe, so I'm happy for him that he's doing something that he wants.
Have you spoken to any of the Yankee players today since the news came out?
No, not since the news, but Joe, which is great. We kind of went through a similar situation this year with Willie, and it was good to see the players rally behind their manager.
Well, obviously, I know you're a big fan of college football, is why you're here today, but a big Virginia Tech Hokies fan. We're going to let you give it to Doug Flutie here. We actually have the Hokies taking on BC in Blacksburg next Thursday night. What do you think of that matchup?
BC's not going into Blacksburg and winning, that's for sure. It's going to be crazy down there. Hopefully I can make that one. Now that Virginia Tech's out of the Big East, I guess I'll be a Rutgers fan. So I'm a Hokie fan at heart, but while I'm here in New York, I'll root for the Rutgers and the Big East.
All right, David, thank you.
All right, Aaron, I hear you.
He's going to follow us around on Thursday night.
You're not allowed to go to Blacksburg and win, and you're not allowed to go to where? The swamp down there in Florida?
Doug, you're going to learn these things. When you see Blacksburg, Blacksburg's one of those places where when you go in there, David Wright's right about that one for sure.
Okay.
But if there's one quarterback that can do it this year, it's Matt Ryan.
Matt's been playing really well and leading that team. He's been amazing.
There's a catch by Britt and then a catch by Kevin Block, the tight end, for a first down. Inside of 40 seconds and a half, and Teal takes a shot downfield, looking for Britt, overthrown. Nate Allen in coverage. So a couple of short completions, and then Knights take a shot downfield before halftime.
Well, the clock's running down a little bit. 34 seconds left in the half. You'd like to take a shot at score and get in field goal range, maybe.
You don't want to have to punt the football, though, before half. So
they had a field goal block.
Tick, tick, yes.
Yeah, they're out of timeouts, though.
Right, exactly.
Stop the clock.
Yeah, exactly. So you run the football here.
You don't take a shot downfield?
I throw the ball.
Well, one more maybe. Second down.
Take one more shot.
Yeah,
and just kill
then kill the clock.
They pick up the blitz, and again, looking for Britt downfield, but Trey Williams, one of those excellent corners, one of the best tandems in the country on the edge. You've seen what Jenkins can do, and there's Williams.
But on the other side of the field, Kevin Brock, the tight end, is going up the seam uncovered. The middle of the field is where Rutgers needs to attack the passing game. The corners are shutting the receivers down. These are some talented corners.
And now in 3rd and 10, they do have that decision you talked about, Craig. They can run the ball here, and with the Bulls out of timeouts, just kill the clock into halftime.
Let it run on into the halftime here and be very fortunate. You know they are after that blocked field goal.
How about a screen?
Doug.
How about something safe?
Would you want to have to punt?
No, I want the first down.
Underwood in motion. That's very safe. They hand it to Rice. Rice into the secondary. Rice barreling ahead to the 42-yard line, and now they'll stop the clock to move the chains.
Okay, there's the first down. Now let's go.
Now you're in business here. Spike the ball and huddle up. Talk about it.
They don't need much to get in the range of Jeremy Ito.
Ray Rice,
another 7-8 yards, guys.
Don't you think he just goes to huddle sometimes and say, what are we doing messing around? Why aren't we just giving me the football?
Well, in this situation, there's not enough time to give him the football on every play.
He said 21 carries in the first half, James. What do you want?
21.
It ain't about me.
How many
Ray
last
Rice.
week? How many last week?
36.
36.
21 so far in the first 57 carries. So we got to add the 2 games up in what, 5 days, 6 days?
That streak's going to come to an end in 6 more yards. Rice will be at the 100-yard mark. And again, his 202-yard game against the Bulls last year, 14 games ago, the last 100-yard back. So he'll get that streak.
But right now you're thinking about field goal range.
You don't get the first down, however, the clock will not stop. Teal fires, downfield, caught. Sliding out of bounds is Tim Brown. And now they're well within Ito's field goal range. Completion in front of Trey Williams for 20 yards.
This is how quickly a game can turn around. You have a blocked field goal. You get lucky and get a points off the board.
Now, you get greedy here, which is what Jeff Tedford did for Cal, and it perhaps cost him a game.
Well, we had an outside throw there.
Right,
no timeouts.
You got no timeouts. If he gets dropped, it's going to be hurry to try to get the field goal team on. Teal fires into the end zone. Got a man. Caught. No, dropped. Kenny Britt laid out, thought he had it, defended by Williams, could not come up with the ball.
Well, so much for that theory there, Flutie, man, about not throwing to the outside. Oh, hey, Williams, he better rethink how he's going to cover these guys.
Well, Brown turned Williams around on that little out corner route. Now they blow by him with Britt, and boy, that was close.
But now, Chris, you're on to something here. Be careful with the clock. Make sure you don't give up a shot at 3 points.
Do not get tackled short of a first down in the field of play. And if you do, run up and try to spike the ball. Don't try to run that field goal team out.
Pressure, Teal fires. No flag. Uncatchable, Jenkins on the coverage. That was a bit of a gamble by Schiano. Let's say that ball is caught in the field of play. They would have had to hustle down there, try to spike it. Now they'll bring out Ito with 11 seconds to go.
That's an excellent job in a 2-minute scenario, especially with no timeouts, to get the ball down inside the 25 and give yourself a good opportunity to get through.
This from 40. Ito reliable. His last attempt low, of course, was blocked. Gets this one away. Chopping wood, of course, is the motto here. Now we'll keep chopping for the full 60. Schiano knows that's what it'll take. Jim Levitt said he fully expects this game to go down to the last couple plays as well.
Well, he knows that this is a game on the road against a Rutgers team that's used to playing in a game like this now. And what a scenario for Levitt. He calls it the situation. He won't admit it that it's the #2 team in the country. Don't even talk about that.
Well, the bottom line is it doesn't matter. Your focus, when you're talking about preparing for a game, it doesn't matter that you're #2 in the country, number 10, number 25, unranked. You should prepare the same way and get ready. And he protects his players from talking about it, getting wrapped up in it.
It's very hard to do that, though, Doug. It really is human nature. We've seen team after team in the BCS era fall prey to it over the years. Yeah.
It's a reality, man. It's like, man, when that target's on you and you're ranked this high.
But didn't you feel like after talking to the Bulls players this week, they really didn't have a sense of the hugeness of the situation? I think right now they're handling it okay. Now if they have to do it for 6 more games,
that's why they deserve. If they do it for 6 more games, that's why they deserve to play for the national championship. That's the big question.
When it's new to you, it's easy to be naive about it. They haven't been in this situation before. They're just having fun and playing games and winning. When I was back in school and we went to Clemson, everybody said, don't be out there when Clemson runs on the field and the rock and all the intimidation. We went over, we kind of patted the rock and took pictures at it and did all that. Everything is new and fresh to these guys right now, and they're enthusiastic.
You see growth, these Mohawks starting to grow in there. Ito with the square kick. Fielded in a little crease for Ryan Gilliam. He steps out of bounds. They'll mark him out of bounds at the 43 of USF as time expires. Good first half. Momentum changes, big plays, and maybe a little bit more offense than most people expected as the Scarlet Knights, who had leads against Maryland and Cincinnati but blew it, trailing at halftime for the first time this season. 2 super intense coaches. Levitt and the Bulls trying to make a statement tonight. Schiano full of nervous energy as well. 17-13 back to Reese, Mark, and Luke, the Pontiac Performance halftime report.
All right, Chris, Mark, and Robert Smith will join me in just a little while. Glad to have you with us on the Pontiac Performance halftime report and just sitting back, relaxed. Another one of the undefeated coaches. Jeff Jagodzinski of Boston College will join us in just a little while. And we'll also tell you about Joe Torre rejecting the Yankees contract offer. Steve Phillips is here to discuss that as well. Why did the Yankee bosses Pontiac Performance halftime report? We'll talk undefeated teams. We've got one that's trying to stay that way in Piscataway tonight. Grothy, the touchdown pass to Hester. Bulls up over Rutgers by 4. Rutgers and South Florida in the first half. Tiquan Underwood catching a touchdown pass, but the Scarlet Knights trail by 4 at the break. Out from Piscataway in a matter of moments, guys. What are you looking for in the second half in the South Florida Rutgers game?
Well, for Rutgers, I think what they tend to do on their defensive line, they like to twist and stunt to try and create pressure on the quarterback. But what they're doing is creating a lot of natural seams for Matt Grothe and Ben Williams for that USF attack. I think they're going to have to try and get some pressure on them, but probably do it in some more unconventional ways. Bring some blitzing, do something to just try and firm up that line so you don't create those seams.
I think the bottom line for South Florida is do what you've been doing. Protect the football, don't make mistakes, and let Matt Grothe, the Go Hawk man, be Matt Grothe in the second half and they'll win the game.
Yeah, the haircut is showing some power. The great feet, not only throwing the football, he's throwing a touchdown pass, but the escapability.
I think you'd look good
He's
with
a great athlete.
You think?
I thought it was Robert, but I think you'd look good with the Go Hawk.
I don't know about the Grow Hawk, Mayday. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep what I have, you know?
The Pontiac Performance Halftime Report is powered by Pontiac. Watch this season's best Pontiac game-changing performances at ESPN.